We'll also talk about, gosh, that means I wasn't recording myself. Shoot. I had that off. I just like, why do I have to talk so loud for everybody to hear me? So then we'll also look at how genes affect chromosomes and how they're assorted. And normally we get crossed over, but if they're close together on the same chromosome, remember they're genetically linked, and that will be an exception to that rule. So most patterns of inheritance are more complex than those that Mendel identified. Mendel looked at 7 characters that were only expressed by one particular trait. The Mendelian inheritance patterns are rare in nature. Other patterns include polygenic inheritance, incomplete dominance, multiple alleles, and what is called codominance. We will look at each of those and do some examples of those as well. A character that is influenced or affected by more than one gene is what is called a polygenic character. Poly means many, genic, genes. Most, if not all, of human characters are influenced by polygenic situations, meaning there's never just one allele that says you're this or you're that. Like your height. There are thousands of genes that contribute to how tall you are. Your hair color. There's more than one gene involved there. And your eye color, too. That's why I can't always tell you your genes that are involved unless you're true blue or true brown. Like when you have hazel eyes or green eyes, that's going to break the rules, okay? Because there's more than one gene involved. And I have more than one gene involved, too. It's just brown is so dominant, it shows up, okay? And blue means you don't have any of the other ones that are dominant, so blue shows up, meaning you're pure blue. So a character that is influenced by more than one is going to be polygenic. Eye color, height, skin color are examples of polygenic characters. Most characters, again, are polygenic for humans. Now, genes that have 3 or more possible alleles are said to have multiple alleles. Blood type is the example we're going to use today to talk about this. So multiple alleles control the A, B, and O blood groups. Can I ask you this question? Say yes or no. Can a human have A, B, and O alleles? Can a human have all 3, A, B, and O alleles? Yes or no? So there's 3 alleles for blood type, A, B, and O. Can somebody have all 3? Annika, you got to turn your computer on. We're doing Peardeck. You're supposed to answer there. Yes. Can I have A, B, and O? All 3 of them. Well, you tell me. Let's see what we've got. I'm going to lock you out. Few say yes. Many say no. The correct answer is no. You get one from your mom and one from your dad. But I could have like 100 different ones, right? It's just one person can't have all those versions. You can only get to have 2. They can be the 2 of the same or 2 different ones, but they only get one from mom, one from dad. Does that make sense? If you have type A, B, O positive, positive is a separate character. So they're separate. It's like, and we'll explain that tomorrow, not today. That's a good question. So you're going to get your blood type, but then you can also be positive or negative. That is a different antigen, okay? Separate protein being made. Yes? Okay. That's good. For genetics and stuff. So codominance is another condition. We'll talk about that with blood type. That's another thing that applies to blood type, in which both alleles for the same gene are fully expressed. An example for blood type is type AB blood. You can have type A blood, you can have type B blood, you can have type O blood, but if you get both an A and a B, an A from mom and a B from dad, they both will be expressed equally at the same time, and it's said to be type AB blood. So you would have both A and B antigens in your bloodstream together. So we're going to look at blood typing here. And I really want you to look up here. Is this a situation that would exist as a Punnett square? No. Everybody look, point at the board. Say, that is not a Punnett square. Say, that is a chart, Mr. Mason. Everybody gets confused. I would too if I was a student. No, okay, stop. Okay, recorder off. All right, so right here, you guys, these are saying, it's like a times table, right? So these are the possible alleles that can exist, but only a person can only carry like 2 of them at a time, right? I don't get to carry all 3. So what does that mean? It means that when I look at this blood typing over here, choose a bright color, so it's not bright enough. Let's do that. Okay. Oh, I already had that one. I don't like any of these. There. That's different than everything else on the screen. It was already there. So what this is saying is these are the 3 different alleles. I'm gonna abbreviate and make it a little simpler. This is type A, this is type B, this is type O allele. So one person doesn't get to carry all 3. So this one, the way this is drawn, don't write this. If you looked at this and thought it was a Punnett square, that's what you would think, right? But no parent can have 3 alleles. It doesn't work like that. You only get 2. So this is giving you a chart of what can happen in blood typing. So type A, type B, type O. O is recessive. A and B are both dominant. Okay? So therefore, when I bring 2 A's together, try a different color. That's an awful color. When I bring 2 A's together, what type's that going to be? Type A, right? Duh, it's the only thing there. What about this one here? How about 2 B's? Type B. What about 2 O's? Okay, what if you have BO? Put on some deodorant. Okay? See, now you're thinking like me. It's good and bad all at the same time, right? So yeah, you can have BO. Take a shower, clean your armpits. But seriously, B is dominant over O, right? Okay? So what type would this be? Type B. O would not show up here. O actually means 0. Just so you know, it means nothing's there. Okay? This one over here, though, how about this? How about A? How about AO? A-OK, right? But you'd be type A, right? Okay? Because A is dominant over O. Yes? Can I answer that in a little bit after I get past the genetics part? Because that's a separate question. But I'll get there, I promise. This one has type AB. Uh-oh. What happens there? Do I get type C blood? I get type AB. This is an example of, right here, what is called codominance. Okay? So in codominance, where they're both equally expressed at the same time, type AB blood. A will dominate over O, B will dominate over O. The only time you get this right here is when you have 2 O's. Now, O has 0 antigens. This is what's called baby blood. I'm answering your question right now, okay? So if you were to put type B blood into an O person, they would have a reaction to it. They'd try to fight it off. Their blood would clot. It'd be nasty, and they'd die. Okay? Same thing if you put A in there or AB. But anybody can receive type O blood because it has 0 antigens. Does that make sense? When babies are born, they don't express any of their antigens yet. They are a type, usually, sometimes. Like I'm type A. If you gave me when I was born type B blood, or anything except for type O, I could have a reaction to it because no one would have known. No one blood types a baby. When babies are born, they don't check their blood type, okay? Because they can't tell yet. They wait 6 months to a year, to actually check to tell that baby their blood type if they check at all, okay? Does that make sense? Because they won't show, just like all babies are born with blue eyes, a lot of the times, they won't show those genes yet because they aren't making that protein. This is also the blood type they take into war because they don't have time to check a soldier's blood type when they're bleeding to death. It's emergency room blood. It's what they use in emergencies when they aren't going to check these things. Yes? That's a separate issue, and that is the R factor, the R antigen. It's named after the rhesus monkey. It's how we're related to other primates by that antigen. And we will talk about that a little bit tomorrow when we get into dihybrid problems. Because blood type has another thing going on. There's actually more than 20 different antigens that make your unique blood type. And I don't want to get confused on those right now, okay? Because the big one is the positive or negative, but then if you were doing a donor transplant, you'd get checked for all these other antigens as well. So let's hold off on that till tomorrow. It's a good question, though. You have to do a separate cross for that, okay? And we put them together. So let's take a look here at my blood type. I'm type A blood. I'm A positive, but we won't worry about that right now, okay? I'm going to cross that with my wife. My wife is type O blood. So we know her genotype, right? Do I know mine? No, until I had what? 2 daughters. So my wife is only going to give type O blood. Is this a test cross? Yes, okay. So I know I have an A to give, so I know 50% chance that I'll have a type A child, but this was my mystery until I had Scarlett. Sierra was type A, okay, like me. Scarlett was type O, like Mom. So that means I must carry what? An O, okay? So this is complete dominance in this situation. There's no AB blood type. Blood type's cool because it can show multiple alleles, codominance, and complete dominance, heterozygosity, homozygosity, all of the rules except for one thing, incomplete dominance. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Okay? Yeah. I believe it is B positive. Okay? It's hard to be positive. Sorry. It's worse to be negative, but, you know, because you can't take B positive blood. It's terrible. I'm stopping. All right. So we've talked about We've talked about complete dominance, okay, A overpowering O. We've talked about codominance, where you can express both at the same time. Some other examples of codominance would be like a zebra, right, or a Dalmatian, both being expressed at the same time. What if I had a white and a black horse and I got a gray horse?
Oh, that's incomplete.
That's incomplete dominance, right? Incomplete dominance. So let's use that example. So this time I have to use different letters. Let me explain to you. A black horse is going to be big B. A white horse, it's going to be big B, big B. A white horse is going to be big W, big W. There's no little. Remember, it's incomplete dominance. They're all dominant. But if I get something else like BW, turns into a chicken wing, right? No, sorry. It ends up being gray, right? Okay? So this time I have 3 different phenotypes and 3 different genotypes. Let's cross 2 BWs. That's a lot of chicken wing. Now you're all thinking about lunch, I know. Okay, so this time when I bring these together, I do have 3 different genotypes. I also have 3 different phenotypes. I see a 1 to 2 to 1 genotypic ratio, as I would expect when both parents are heterozygous. Here's the kicker. I also experience a 1 to 2 to 1 phenotypic ratio, which is not normal in a complete dominant situation. But when it's incomplete dominance, your genotype and phenotype ratios will be the same. Sounds like a test question, doesn't it? If both genotype and phenotype ratios are the same in 2 heterozygous parents, this is an example of incomplete dominance, right? Okay. Let me show you something kind of cool. What if I have a parent that's A and B blood type, and they're both carrying an O? And I put them in a cross. from a type A parent and a type B parent, can I get every single blood type that exists? Isn't that weird? Yeah. So that's why you always have a mixture of the blood types. You'll never get rid of a blood type. They're always going to be either hidden recessively there, being passed on from one generation to the next. Okay? So from an A and a B parent, you can actually get all of the different blood types, all four. Well, this is one combination of sperm and egg. We don't know. Your probability starts over every time. Just like I had a 50-50 chance of having two girls. By probability, I should have a boy and a girl, but I have two girls. Because every time you flip a coin, you guys found from doing your activity, your probability starts over. So sometimes you get two heads, right? Yes. Depends on if they're identical or if they're maternal or paternal. If they come from the same sperm and same egg, then they will have exactly the same everything. But if they're not two different, if they're paternal where there's two different sperm, two different eggs, then it's just like a brother and sister. No, they are. They're like a clone. Identical twins are. Okay. They can. Very similar, but not the same identical. Okay. A lot of them do though. They'll match in a system. But if they look closer and find different worlds, then they would identify. So phenotype can be affected by conditions. I always say I'm going to make a clone of myself someday. I want to raise a little me. Right? Wouldn't that be funny if you come back and your kids would have like the other Mr. Mason? It's on my list, I'm telling you. As soon as it's legal, I'm doing it. So phenotype can be affected by conditions in the environment such as nutrients and temperature. We talked about that, our Arctic fox friend. In humans, many characters that are partly determined by heredity, such as height, are also affected by the environment. Many aspects of human personality and behaviors are strongly affected by the environment, but genes also play an important role. Anybody ever get the wintertime blues? No? The wintertime blues, you get kind of down in the winter. Well, in the winter, you make less melatonin and serotonin. Sunlight helps that. It makes you release dopamine, which makes you happy. So there is a wintertime depression that can be linked to that. Somewhere back there. My room's a mess. Mr. Eric showing them how to recycle. Look at that. Everybody say, you look good today, Mr. Eric. Ready? Here it comes. 1, 2, 3. You look good today, Mr. Eric. I forgot about it. We have so many spirit weeks and days around. I never know what day it is. I don't even pay attention anymore. I just come to work. Is that terrible? That's like my confession. Like, I've given up. When I was in high school, we had spirit work week during homecoming. That was it. Now we got them like every month. It seems like there's something. So I've honestly given up on that. And it's terrible to say, but that's kind of where I'm at. It loses its special thing when you do it all the time. So anyway, many traits do not follow Mendel's laws because he studied the simplest kinds of heredity where characters are determined by independent genes. So that makes me think of independent assortment, which usually holds true unless genes are close together, and then they're said to be linked, right? So normally they'd be separated during meiosis, but just like two cards in a deck right next to each other, sometimes they stay together. And linked genes tend to be inherited together. So that's why you will sometimes always find characteristics together in certain races or types of people. Sometimes you can't separate them. In a quick summary, the Mendelian inheritance pattern is rare in nature. Other patterns include polygenic inheritance, incomplete dominance, multiple alleles, and codominance. Phenotype can be affected by conditions in the environment, such as nutrients and temperature. And during meiosis, genes that are close together on the same chromosome are less likely to be separated than genes that are far away. We say they are genetically linked. Now, I know that